Wow, things are starting to really come together. Exciting, isn't it? But there is still more magic to apply to get our scene looking like a professional multi-camera live presentation that we're going after. So in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to add movement to your cameras, which will make it look like you're truly in an auditorium with multiple cameramen shooting your presentation going in and out. Pretty neat stuff, and it truly makes the world of difference. So let's get to it.
So this is again, the final scene that I've rendered down. It has quite a few camera angle changes, as you can see. And the only places that I've added camera movement is to the long shot and then a little bit to the third shot too, because I found if it was sitting stagnant, then it was giving too much time for the eye to look into the audience and see that nothing is moving. So if I created movement for that shot, then it created a little more life to it and realism. So how do we do that? Let's jump in. Let's go to this scene, this shot here. So this is a long shot nested. As you can see, I've got it nested with the slide. And all we really do is treat this like a single clip. We come up here to our motion. We turn on the positions animation. So we turn those on, and you can see here I have a few keyframes already lined up. So we have two keyframes saying at this keyframe I want it to be at this space, and when it reaches to this keyframe I want it to be at a different value. So here we're zooming slightly out from 117, 118 to 95. And our position, now the other keyframe seems to be outside the shot. If I open this up, probably be able to see it.
And 97%.
And it's just moving up. So if we come over to our long shot that we've been working on, or compiled, here we go. And we want to make this move. I turn on my scale and position, and right away when we do that, it creates keyframes in those positions. So we can easily move them around so they're not there for life. And I'm going to say, well, at this point, I want it to zoom out. So I come to the very beginning of the clip. I add some keyframes. Let's give myself some space. Okay. Okay. Create some keyframes. And I'm going to start at that keyframe. I'm going to zoom in. Like so. And I'm going to move down to frame my subject a little bit better. Okay, like so. And now, as it moves out already, because when we created these keyframes here, it was already in a position that set information. You can move between your keyframes from arrow to arrow. And be careful, even if you might look like you're on it, you're not. If you started moving value, it's, oh, see, it creates another keyframe right beside it, and that can create some problems. So it's good to move between your keyframes with these arrows to make sure that you're on that keyframe. And if that's where I want to go, great. Already placed. So you can see we already have some movement. Now the way that the keyframes are defaulted is when you get to this place, it's going to stop because it's complete. And essentially it's just a linear motion. It just goes from this place to this place, and that's all it does. Yet to create a more realistic experience in our image, we right click and we come down to the temporal interpolation. And what that does, it creates some physics to our movement. Ones I like to use is this ease in and ease out. So if I started the shot if I was a camera guy, I'm going to move these over a little bit to demonstrate. And you can look.
If colleges and universities had
It starts moving, and it's continuous movement, continuous speed. Yeah, if I want the camera to ease out of these two keyframes, I'll come down and go ease out, changes the little icon, and as you can see, it slowly comes out of there and then picks up speed, which creates a more natural look to our shot.
If colleges and universities had dropout rates like that, they would.
And that's usually the way that a camera person would start pulling the shot. Just nice and easy. And the same goes for here. If we want to come into this keyframe, we go down and go ease in. And so it's going to slow down. By the time it hits there, it's really minimal.
Now let's just do an experiment.
Beautiful.
Now think about it. If colleges and universities had dropout rates like that, they would all be shutting down. Now let's just do an experiment.
There we go. So that's essentially how we use the scale and position animation to create movement in our shots. Sometimes we might want to move in, sometimes we might want to move out. We can easily do that. One thing to consider is if this is a camera in physical space, in this auditorium, wherever we're actually recording and shooting this presentation, then when this camera moves out,
It's like that.
it comes to the other camera, but this camera still exists somewhere in space. So when it comes out, it would be most realistic to keep this camera starting away and out and zoom back in. So let's do that now. Just quick zoom in. So I create the other keyframes. So I'm going to start there where I've created these keyframes, move to the other ones, and I'm going to zoom in. And this time maybe I want to zoom up to the slide. I come in here, we go to ease out and ease in.
Completed it. That looks to be about 99% of us in the room.
But in this instance, I'm actually thinking that it would be nice to simulate as if the camera started moving back in somewhere further along the way. So when it reaches here, it's not going to ease out of this point. It's actually already fully in motion. So I'm going to come over here and create it back to being linear.
That looks to be about 99% of us in the room. And my guess is the older gentleman in front here.
There we go. So that's not exactly what I would do for this shot because he's pointing down, but you get the idea. And when we start creating movement on all of our shots, just nice and easy. Don't overdo it. Keep it kind of slow and methodical.
Then we're out of there and on to the next sparkly distraction.
So there you have it. Give that a whirl. See how that works for your shots. And when we come back, we're going to put in the final touches, some sound effects, start looking at the text, and the intro. See you then.